clearly the number 2.
Totally.
On any other team, on some of these teams, he might be a number 1 right now. I mean, Maxey, I've always been a fan. I didn't know how good, though. That's what I love about this league, though. You know, there's certain guys where you're like, yeah, I could kind of see it, but he's missing something. And then there's certain guys where you're like, yeah, he could shoot, but he can't do anything else. And I don't know if he's a 1 or he's a 2, like Kobe White. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh, maybe he's Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, that's what I love about this league, though, is that some of these guys just come out of nowhere, and it's awesome.
Yeah, Maxey always seemed like a very out-of-control player.
Yeah.
Ahead,
Coaching, though. Nick Nurse.
He got back in the end zone against Jacksonville after a couple weeks without, but Gus Edwards, you look at his career, you know, heading into this year, he'd average over 5 yards per carry every single year. It's down a bit this season, and the last couple weeks, I don't know, the vision, you know, if you watch the all 22, it's just he's not hitting the right hole. But 39 in this game, I would say that's definitely low. I would take the over on that, just because this has got to be a game for the Ravens where you're playing ball control. You're trying to keep the ball out of Brock Purdy's hands, and that offense, which is just super, super explosive. And this Ravens defense, for as good as they have been this year, and they've been really, really good, they've been susceptible against the run. So this, trying to slow down Christian McCaffrey is going to be a tough task.
Like Waddle receptions over 5.5. It's plus 115. So I kind of talked myself into the Dolphins as a Super Bowl contender. When you look at their defensive numbers, man, I hate the Phillips injury, though.
Yeah,
and
terrible.
I know I like him more than most. I bet him to win Defensive Player of the Year. That probably was never going to happen. But, man, I mean, right now they're trending towards being one of the top defenses in the league. The only thing that scared you was the Tyreek injury a little bit on the offensive side of the ball, and then obviously like the offensive line injuries. But you go back and, like you said, you watch Hard Knocks, and you see Mike McDaniel, and you also just look at they had the perfect offensive game plan going against the Jets. Because I took the Jets, and everybody took the Jets. I mean, it went from 10-7. They closed the 7-point favorites, and you were like, that's when I had to pounce on this, and it made complete sense because that got out of control. But I just didn't like that matchup against the defensive line. But, man, I mean, it was the perfect game plan, even without Tyreek. And that's the thing about the Dolphins. Like, we love Kyle Shanahan. We always talk about San Francisco and how, like, Shanahan could get the most out of any quarterback, any running back. And that's kind of the same right now for Mike McDaniel. I mean, Shanahan called him the best offensive mind he's ever worked with. So I planned on taking the Cowboys. I'm just going to stay away. And I'm going to bet the over, even though it's probably a bad look. I'm going to bet the over, and I'm going to sit on the couch.
Kind of love the over just for, like, vibes.
I just feel like there's too many athletes on this field, and I know both defenses are pretty damn good. I think we're going to get some points, and I have Cowboys futures. I want to add some more Dolphins futures maybe, so I just want to kind of learn here, because if the Cowboys could prove that they could win a game on the road, I feel so much better about them in the NFC.
Right.
If the Dolphins prove they could beat up on a physical team, or beat a physical team like the Cowboys can be at times.
Especially at home.
Yeah, then that's huge.
If it was any other team, not going to happen. Not with those receivers, not the problems they'd have. But for some reason, when it's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, I know the reason, but we just can't count them out ever. You know what it is? Honestly, it's the Belichick Brady.
Absolutely.
It's just crossed over now
exactly
to the Chiefs. It's just gone there, and that's a testament to what they've built, the success they have, the resume, but also just the football minds that you have there too.
Yeah, I like Kelsey under 67.5 receiving yards. I know that sounds bonkers because it's Kelsey. He had just 28 yards last week, but Raiders are only giving up. They've only given up 68 yards to one other tight end besides Kelsey all year. So maybe it's a great matchup for him specifically, like that guy with the GOAT play on Joel Embiid. But I kind of like Kelsey's under 68 yards.
I do too. I like the under on the yards and the receptions. And I just feel like he's going to be a really big bet on Christmas Day, too.
He is.
You know, T Swift will probably be there. I actually don't know that for sure. I don't follow her schedule anymore. They really don't even show her anymore.
No.
I'm always like, oh, she's there, and we're not showing her until the third quarter. Maybe it's because I'm watching 13 other games at the time. But
Also, she's old news. We've seen this already, right?
And they're really in love, like I've been trying to say. I do think that this is a bad matchup.
Man?
Not a bad matchup, but I would rather go with the Pacheco props.
On that,
What?
I'm kind of on your side now.
Yeah, I think they really.
I know
like
we've
each
talked
other.
about this before. It's been a while.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can deny the fact that it maybe is a real thing.
It's gone on a long time.
Yeah, like
But
it's
with
kind of
Tom
hard to say
Cruise
it's not.
and Katie Holmes, but I kind of want to believe now.
Yeah.
He's a good dude.
Yeah. It was never the fact that either one of them like a bad person. It's just more of like, okay,
like,
this just feels convenient.
I think he's so sappy and like goofy and kind of like a golden retriever.
Yeah.
So the opposite.
Very lovable.
I was listening to this episode of The Daily where they were talking about Taylor Swift dating Jake Gyllenhaal. They were doing like a whole episode on her being the woman of the year and how like Jake Gyllenhaal was just so toxic to her. And I'm like, what a breath of fresh air a goof like Travis Kelce is from an actor a-hole like Jake Gyllenhaal.
I feel like this is the lowest point Steelers fans have been in
my lifetime.
Yeah, like it's got to be the lowest,
I'm
right?
almost 25, and this is the lowest it's ever been.
That's the reason that Ryan likes the 3. I think is just that the number is telling you now that the Bengals have to lay 3 on the road. Can Jake Browning do it? I like Joe Mixon's prop though. Like that's probably one of my favorite ones. You look at that. The number the last time I saw it was 47.5. But you look at the fact that Jamar Chase is out. The Steelers are giving up 68 or more yards to 4 running backs in the last 3 games. 4, like, not 68, period. 68 or more to each. 16 running backs have hit this number against them this year. To me, it feels like Chase Brown obviously is a great look, too, whenever you can get that number. Let me see if it's there yet. Chase Brown's number is 27.5, which I also like a lot.
Yeah.
I want to put him in a little same-game parlay. I like Joe Mixon and Chase Brown.
Kyron Williams and Chase Brown, I feel like, are the 2 running backs on this show that we've all fallen in love with on those props.
Yeah, it's still early for Chase Brown, too.
Very much
it's
so.
It's like the early Sam Laporta days where you can still get these very, very soft numbers.
Like week 2.
Yeah, and I really like the 27.5 because he's explosive, too. I mean, that could be 2 rushes for Chase Brown. I really like that. I like the Mixon numbers too. I did take the Steelers, especially at 3. I really like it, even though it's minus 115. If Jamar Chase plays in this game though, and it's still 2.5, I probably lean Bengals. But I think Browning's going to have to get rid of the ball quickly. And if the Steelers could get some pressure on him, maybe he makes a mistake or two. They're going to have to rely a lot on Higgins. So I might look at his props and anytime touchdown, especially when they get in the red zone. But all right. Trubisky is terrible.
They allowed 30 unanswered points to the Colts backups
and
last Saturday.
That's why this is the best spot, dude. Because it's here's the other thing, right? I hate to be like public versus pros versus Joes, but like Thanksgiving, Christmas, these are very public holidays now, where everybody is sitting around and everybody wants to get a little action in on the games. And now we're at 3. Everybody hates Mike Tomlin. People want Mike Tomlin fired. He called out some of the team. And Mason Rudolph isn't very good. He's not an all-pro quarterback, but I think he's an upgrade over Mitch Trubisky.